Hi, everyone. What day is today? Thursday. We're almost at Friday, thank goodness. Just want to thank you all so much for coming to our February workshop. This is our second workshop of the year, and we have some pretty dope things planned for the rest of the workshop. So I will pass it off to Aubrey to introduce our host for today.
Hi, everyone. Samira Moosavi is a clinical manager at Experience Camps, a national no-cost program for grieving children who have experienced the death of a parent, sibling, or primary caregiver. Samira has dedicated over a decade to providing psychosocial support to children and families. As a certified child life specialist, she has supported youth in the hospital setting, during natural disasters, and on global medical missions. Her current role allows her to support children and their families, educate the community about grief and loss, and create inclusive grief-informed programming. She's incredibly passionate about creating opportunities where youth can share their voice. She is joined by Lexi, Youth Advisory Board member at Experience Camps.
Thank you, Aubrey. Shall we take it away, y'all? All right, here we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for the intro, Brianna and Aubrey. Like they already said, I'm Samira, and this is...
Hi, I'm Lexi.
Lexi, awesome. And we are here from an amazing organization that we're going to share with you about from Experience Camps, here to share a little bit with you about grief. Before we get started, though, in our presentation, y'all, I worked really hard to find this gift, so I'm going to invite y'all to answer this question in the Q&A. If you could name an album based off of your personality, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. What would it be called? Pop it into the Q&A. Let's see what we got. And I'll read them out loud. So it'll be, I'll see who you are, but the whole group won't see who you are. So feel free to get as creative. Maybe you want it to be a little anonymous as possible. But what are these album names? And if you haven't used the Q&A function, it was new to me this time too. It's the 3 little shapes at the bottom. And if you hit that, there's a bunch of apps that come up and you can hit Q&A. And then it'll give you the little button that says ask a question, and you can write your response in there. Ooh, we got Dancing Queen.
I love that one.
Waves. Ooh. All right, what else? Lexi, what would be yours?
For mine, Unique Emotions.
Unique Emotions. All right, we got another album called Lost. Loud Talker. Y'all, I'm on crutches right now, so mine would be Crutches. 25-year-old teen. Brain Rock Core. All right, we're getting creative. Workaholic.
Ooh.
This would be quite the Spotify playlist, y'all. All right, we're going to take 30 more seconds and then move on. So if you haven't submitted yours, please feel free. If you were an album, if you named an album based off your personality, what would it be? Anybody got any more responses for us? All right, y'all. Well, if you think of anything, feel free to continue to drop it into the Q&A so we can learn a little bit more about you. So again, welcome everybody. So Lexi and I are joining you all from an organization called Experience Camps. We are a national nonprofit that provides grief support programs for children who have experienced the death of a parent, primary caregiver, or sibling all over the country. So our workshop tonight is called Grief Sucks, but we're here to talk about how to support ourselves and our friends who are grieving. So again, my name is Samira. I've got Lexi here from our YAB to join us. And so some of the programs that we provide at Experience Camps is that we have a week-long free summer camps all over the country where our campers can come and talk about their person who has died, share about their feelings, their grief experiences, and find a peer support community. We really believe in giving children who are grieving experiences that change their lives forever, because we believe that every child, including a child who's grieving, deserves a life rich of possibility. So in addition to our camps, we have community events. We have family camps that we have our adults come to too, that are over the weekend. We have an adult grief retreat. We've got an amazing website that we just launched called griefsex.com, created by teens that are grieving for teens that are grieving. And we are high on the social medias, y'all. We are all up in TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, but I can't imagine y'all really like hang out in the book too much. But we're all over those, sharing about grief, doing some, what would you say, Lexi? We do some decent amount of TikTok challenges.
We do a lot of fun TikTok challenges.
Bridging some grief and some, and some socials. But we are primarily here to create community in a place that doesn't always get that opportunity. So Lexi and I are here tonight to talk a little bit about grief, a little bit about how we can support our friends who are grieving, our peers who are grieving. So maybe it's not a friend, but maybe you've got a classmate at school. Maybe you've got a friend on your soccer team. Maybe you've got somebody in your community who's grieving, or maybe you're grieving yourself and you want to think about some ways to honor your grief and your person who died. That's a little bit about what Lexi and I are going to talk about tonight. We are here to create conversation with y'all, so please feel free to use the Q&A. If you have any questions, we'll definitely make sure to answer any of them. We'll make sure to leave some time at the end. But we do have, in addition to the little interactive prompt we had when we started tonight, we've got 2 more for you. So please stay engaged and stay with us, because again, we want this to be as much of a conversation as possible. So Lexi, is there anything else about yourself that you want the crew to know before we talk about grief?
Well, hi again. My name is Lexi. I'm a youth advisory board member of Experience Camps and Grief Sucks. And my parents passed away 4 and 3 years ago, so I understand grief for both parents and other family members. So, hi.
Thanks, Lexi. And thanks, Lexi, for being so willing to share your story with us tonight and be a part of our experience. I wanted Lexi to be here with y'all because nothing is more important to us at experience camps or to me than peer support. So knowing that there's another peer out there. So again, maybe you're not grieving, but maybe you know somebody who is. It's really was important to us that you got to hear from another teen who, let's be honest, y'all, speaks a little bit more of the language than I do. All right, Lexi. So we're going to talk about, y'all, this whole grief thing. So tonight we're going to talk about how grief is defined in some ways, but I also want you to know that like grief is really big and can be defined in a lot of different ways. But grief at its core is the natural, normal reaction to a loss. So for us at experience camps, all of our programming is designed for children and teens who have experienced the death of someone, which that grief comes with, again, someone in their life dying, which is called a primary loss. But we can be grieving all different kinds of things. So any kind of loss we can be grieving. Everything from like, maybe your grades aren't where they want to be. Maybe you experienced a breakup. Maybe you had to move schools. Maybe your caregivers are going through a divorce or a separation. Maybe you had a pet die. There are so many different kinds of losses, and within all of those losses comes grief. And again, grief is the natural, normal reaction that we have to those losses. Part of our grief responses, though, happen emotionally, they happen physically, they happen mentally, they happen socially, sometimes they even happen spiritually. So they impact all different parts of us. But they're all encompassing of this. So just because we don't want anyone to feel like we're not talking about a grief that might be applicable to you. Again, just because we're focusing on death, all of the things that we're talking about tonight also transfer to different types of grief and different types of losses that our communities may face. Lexi, is there anything that you wanted to share?
Yes, I would. Thank you. So in my opinion, grief is your bipolar best friend and or your new roommate in your head. Grief will always follow you wherever you go, and it stays with you forever. So make room for it because it's going to invite a lot of new emotions. Yes, you may have felt angry or sad or nostalgic, but these feelings would definitely be heightened and you will definitely feel them in new ways. But grief doesn't always have to be sad and upsetting. You can feel grief within losing your people and or person, but it can bring in happy memories. But if you don't invite your grief in and you don't ask yourself, what do I need? What is my grief asking me right now? It's going to weigh you down, and it will pop up at random moments, and that's no fun. So instead of avoiding your grief and not asking it what it wants, take charge of your grief and say, what do I need right now? Ask your grief, can I sit with you and talk? And just talk to it, because it will help, trust me. And it's always good to ask it, because it'll feel so much better at the end.
Thank you, Lexi. And to Lexi's point, y'all, when we talk about grief, we talk about all the different emotions that come up, right? So Lexi, let's talk about those. We've got anger, we got sadness, we got guilt and regret.
Yes,
What else
definitely.
we got?
We got nostalgic. I definitely get very nostalgic when I'm grieving or when I'm upset.
Definitely.
Anxiety.
We can have fears, anxiety, sure.
Yeah. And anxiety also covers many other emotions that you may not think that you are feeling, but you are.
And we can be grieving our person and missing them and longing for them. We can also be grieving the things that we didn't get to do with them. So now that they're not here, there's all these different opportunities. There's all these different things happening in our lives that we wish that they were a part of that we don't get to share with them. We're also grieving the idea of them. So like, maybe I'm someone who my dad died, and now I'm grieving all the different things that I thought my dad was going to be a part of that he's not a part of anymore. And so that can also come with grief of, again, friendships ending, relationships ending, moving schools. Any of those losses can also happen as well. So we've got a question for y'all. We wanted to know, and in the Q&A, you have the option to make this anonymous. But if you put it in there, only Lexi and I can see. Lexi, can you see the Q&A?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So up to you how you would like to do this, but we want to protect your privacy as much as possible. But we're curious, for all of you on the call tonight, how many of you feel like you've experienced grief? So if you can drop into the Q&A a red heart if you have experienced the death of somebody in your life, a yellow heart if you know someone who's had someone in their life die. So maybe that's a friend, maybe it's a classmate, maybe it's a family member. And then a blue heart if you've experienced any other losses. So that could be all the different losses we already talked about. Maybe it's a breakup, maybe you move schools, maybe you've lost friends, those relationships have ended, maybe the adults in your life, their relationships are ending, right? So like divorces or separations. And then we'll share with y'all kind of what the numbers are. So take a moment to think about if you've experienced grief before. So we're seeing red heart. We're seeing all three, red, yellow, and blue. Blue heart, blue and yellow and blue, red, yellow, and blue, blue and yellow, blue and yellow, red, yellow, and blue, blue. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for being honest with us. So we did this prompt because we wanted to kind of show in a group setting that even if we haven't experienced the death of someone, that we're all grieving in different ways. There's lots that happen in our lives that cause us to be grieving, and we want to be able to honor that for everybody. So feel free to continue if you feel comfortable to drop into the chat if you've experienced grief before. And we appreciate y'all being so willing to have this conversation with us. Before I get in any further, I also do want to remind you that taking care of yourself when we talk about grief is really important. So tonight, while you're tuning in to Lexi and I, please make sure to take care of yourself. So if you need to go do a bio break, use the restroom, grab a glass of water, grab a snack, take a breath, maybe take a beat and step away, that's okay. Having these conversations is not easy, y'all. And so we commend and applaud you for, like, again, being willing to tune in tonight with us. And we cherish that and appreciate that. But please make sure that you're taking care of yourself while we have these conversations as well. All right, y'all, feel free to drop some more hearts into the chat if you feel comfortable. Share with us about your experiences. We're going to keep going. And part of what we wanted to discuss tonight is that for many of you, you may be grieving yourself, but you may also know a friend or a peer or a classmate who's also grieving. We know statistically that 1 in 5 children before the age of 18 will actually experience the death of someone that they love. So chances are that in your schools, if you haven't experienced grief, that you might know somebody who has, or that it might happen on your school campus, unfortunately, as well. And so we wanted tonight's workshop to also be focused on like, what do we do to support our friends? This grief thing is kind of hard. Like, what do we say? What do we do? So Lexi and I have a few kind of things to share with you, but please know that like everyone's grief needs are so unique and different. We always talk about grief is as unique as fingerprints and snowflakes. So no 2 people are going to grieve the same, which means no 2 people's grief needs are going to be the same. So we're just offering you a couple things to consider if you know somebody who's grieving that would benefit from some support. I threw this up here, y'all, because if you don't know my homie, she's not my homie, she doesn't know me, but I want to be her homie, Emily McDowell. She makes some like real, thanks Brianna. She makes some like real honest greeting cards, and they're like the best when it comes to like real stuff that you're like, do I buy a card? Do I not buy a card? And grief is one of those things that's hard to buy a card for. You're like, what do I say? So let's talk about it. Emily McDowell says in this, well, this sucks. I wish I had a better way to say it, but my brain feels totally stuck right now. But I want you to know that even though I might not always have exactly the right words, you will always have me. I'm not going anywhere, so I hope you're cool with that. And I don't know about you, Lexi, but if somebody gave me this card, exactly, chef's kiss, I'd be like,
perfect.
Thank you. Right? A lot of the times we always say like, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. And we know that there are definitely things that people have told us that was not supportive, well-intentioned, but not as supportive as they intended.
Most definitely.
So just wanted to put that there. But here are some things that Lexi and I were talking about that we think would be helpful ways to support. So if you have someone in your life who's experienced the death of someone, it doesn't have to be a peer. Maybe it's your parents or caregivers. Maybe it's your aunt or uncle, whoever it may be in your life, but ask about their person. Oftentimes, like those of us that are grieving want to share about our loved one. We want to share about who they are, whether it's about their favorite things, their favorite color, their favorite movie, their favorite candy, their favorite music. We want to share about the things we remember and memories and who they were. We want to be able to bring them into the now just as much as they were in the past. We also want a reminder that like people are here to listen. Grief is really hard to listen to, and stories can be really hard to listen to. But for someone who's grieving, that's like the biggest gift that you could give, is to just say, I'm here to listen. So if you want to share, please do. You know, it's such a delicate thing to share. And so we hope that you find that like, if someone's willing to share that with you, that that's such a gift. And then remembering some special days. So grief can get really hard around special days. So it could be birthdays, holidays, anniversaries. With y'all in school, it could be promotions and graduations and big milestones that our person was supposed to be a part of. So if you know somebody who's grieving on those days, like check in with them a couple days before, check in with them on that day or a couple days after, of like, oh, I'm sure you really wish that your person was here for that. I wonder how you're feeling. Or I wonder if at graduation, there's a way that we could include them. You know, do you want to bring a photo, or do you want to bring anything that reminds you of them? Also, like helping with like practical stuff, day-to-day stuff. Pick up your friend's favorite Starbucks. You know, if they got to leave early that day, like figure out what their homework is so you can bring it home for them. Maybe you can help arrange a carpool so that they don't have to worry about getting to and from school, or their after school activities or games, or, you know, social plans. Like how can we help to make day-to-day a little bit lighter and a little bit easier? And then lastly, encouraging them to get support when they want it, and for sure when they need it. So maybe you're on your school campus and your classmate's grieving and you're like, listen, I figured out at the guidance office, at the counseling center, here are some of the things that they have, like just wanted you to know in case you would want it for support. Or, hey, I found out this program down the street, got a bunch of teens that are grieving. If you want to go somewhere there to talk about it, just wanted you to know to have that. Because sometimes when you're the one going through something, y'all, it is really hard to figure out where to go for some support. So some of the things that you can do is share some support with them. And hey, if you want to share about X camps, by all means, please do. Lexi, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to add?
Just a simple, I don't understand what you're feeling, but I'm here for you. And if you wanted to tell me what you're feeling, please do. And as simple, is there anything I can do for you? Just letting them know that you're not going anywhere and you're going to be there for that person just means so, so much. And one, I'm here can go so far. You can make that grieving person's day. And if you do know what they're feeling, maybe tell them the things that you used to feel within certain events in your life or milestones, or how you think you're going to feel, and just talk about your experiences. Maybe they can relate, but they didn't want to say anything. You never know. So just ask questions whilst being respectful. But it just one, I don't understand, but maybe you can help me, or maybe you can just tell me. And also ask them if they want to vent. Sometimes they don't want your advice and they just want to talk. Let them, because all their emotions are valid. And also be aware of your emotions, because non-griever and grievers, all feelings are valid.
Absolutely, Lexi. And I'm wondering, from what we did earlier with our hearts, it sounds like and it looks like that there's a couple of us in the room that are grieving, that have experienced the death of someone that we love. So I'm wondering, for all of you, if you don't mind putting in this chat, and again, you can leave it anonymous, is there anything that we missed? Are there other ways that you would recommend that would be supportive, that you wish that a friend or a classmate, somebody in your community did to honor your grief and to support you? Let's take 30 seconds here. If there's anything y'all feel like we didn't get to talk about. And thank you all for sharing more of the hearts. I'm seeing red, yellows, and blues. We got blues. What else do we think would be supportive that Lexi and I didn't touch upon? Just checking in, even when they know you aren't the type to talk about it much. Yeah, our quiet friends especially are the friends to check in on, right? For sure. Thank you for that.
They may
Also,
not know.
like, go ahead, Lexi, sorry.
The grievers may not know how to ask for help, so definitely giving them a little push and asking them if they needed help is definitely a big win.
Yeah, and a lot of choice. Do you want to talk about this or do you not want to? Because maybe they're done. They're over talking about it. Maybe they've had to talk about it a lot. But also a lot of gratitude, y'all. We practice gratitude a lot. Again, like, it's a big deal for someone want to share with you. So letting them know, like, thank you so much for trusting me. Thank you so much for sharing these memories with me. If y'all think of anything else, please drop it into the Q&A and we'll share it out loud for everyone. So outside of ways to support our peers and our friends, we also wanted to share ways that we can honor our loved ones who have died and honor our grief. So if you are grieving, just some things to consider for yourself as well and those around you. So one thing that we wanted to touch on, and I like this little graphic over here. It's from this amazing website called What's Your Grief? It's got really awesome resources on it. It's a little bit more like young adult driven, y'all. So if you decide to go on it, I don't know what you might find. But there's the image here that's got a picture of this friend's dad, and they're saying, "Good night, I love you." And we're saying, this is normal. It's normal to go up to a photo of our person and try to engage with them or bring photos around or try to include them in our life. So some ways to honor our grief and to ways to honor our person is knowing that it's okay to share. Lexi, you had something when we had that conversation that you wanted to share about this.
Yes. I remember every year for my dad's birthday and or his death anniversary, I write little messages to him on balloons, and I have a beach a few minutes away. So I like to write him little messages and let the balloon go. And for me, that definitely feels like a little tribute for him, and a little like I see you without, actually seeing him. And also saying their name is just a big thing. Just to know that I'm not forgetting you and I'm talking about you. I'm remembering you. Just making sure that their memory is still alive. So definitely sharing memories helps. And it just makes it feel more known. Instead of hiding your grief and hiding your people, let them live on within you.
Thank you, Lexi. Totally. And I think when we're honoring our own grief, like giving ourselves that permission that it's okay to share. It's okay to tell people about my experience. For us at Experience Camps and with Lexi, like, We have a youth advisory board similar to y'all at Mind Out Loud, like, because we want youth voices to be the loudest in the room. We want there to be permission and stages and platforms for y'all to share your story. It's so imperative. And what supports us in our grief is knowing that even though we feel so isolated, we may feel so alone, that we have community, and we have community out there that's also trying to navigate this really hard thing. And the first step in that is knowing that it's okay to share, so that we can then meet the other people that are willing to share with us, right? Or willing to sit in it, and we don't have to share, but we just know, like, hey, you kind of, like, in some ways get it, even though it's totally different for us each individually. And then, like Lexi said, saying their name, so important. One thing I can assure y'all is that someone who is grieving somebody that they love, you're not, and Lexi, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you're not reminding them that somebody died by bringing them up. They're aware. They are thinking about it a lot of the time. And definitely asking, like, hey, do you want to talk about it, or do you not want to? But if they give you permission, like, hey, you must be thinking about your brother, James, today. How are you feeling? You know? And then doing their favorite things. We've talked about this with the YAB before, Lexi, and thinking about, like, what were my person's favorite things to do? Maybe it was baking chocolate chip cookies. And so maybe you know that it was my dad who died, and Father's Day is coming up. And like, maybe a way that you can honor me, but also a way that I can honor myself and my grief is to do the things that my person loved to do. So maybe it's baking chocolate chip cookies. Maybe it's watching their favorite movies. Maybe it's playing the sport that they really liked, or going to a place that they really liked. Or maybe it's like saying the phrase that I loved hearing them say. And now I'm just gonna like make it a part of my repertoire. It's part of my language now too, right? Like how, like Lexi said, you said something, and I don't want to butcher it, Lexi, but you said like bringing them in the present. It was something like that. What was it that you, the way that you had phrased it?
I believe it was not letting them get stuck in the past, so catching them up on day-to-day events happening and almost having conversations with them, letting them know this is the new modern stuff that's happening in the world today. If your person passed away a long time ago, then catch them up on new technology, new things that are coming up in the world, personal events that are happening within you and your friends, family stuff. Just engage with them. Don't like leave them hanging in the past. Bring them into the future, into the present with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of doing that is continuing to do those activities and continuing to do the things that remind us of them. There's a theory that we talk about called continuing bonds. And continuing bonds essentially says that when we're grieving, we're trying to stay connected to our person who died. And in an effort to do that, we're doing things that remind us of them, right? We're having them seemingly come to things that we're doing things that we would have done with them in a way to honor and remember and stay connected to them. So just remembering to do that for ourselves. And then thinking about rituals, like Lexi shared, the balloon ritual. There's lots of different rituals that we can do. Some of them cost a dime or two, and some of them really don't. So maybe it's lighting candles every time we think about them. Maybe it's writing letters or writing in a journal. Maybe you're writing letters to your person, like, dear dad, here's all the things happening right now that I wish I could share with you, you know? Maybe it is creating different tributaries. So maybe you create a shirt or a bag or a button or a necklace in honor of them. Maybe you create a memorial in honor of them that your friends and families can pay visit to help to support you. But what are the different ways, especially around birthdays and holidays and really special days? Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once a week, whatever you need, that you can do some rituals to help you to honor your person and know, again, that you got somewhere to go. Because sometimes when our grief comes, I don't know about y'all, but I look at my grief like a monster. It's a creature, it's hairy, it's weird, it's got one eye. Sometimes it's got fire breathing or whatever. I don't know. It takes on different shapes and forms. And sometimes I just need to know that there's a day that I'm going to hang out with my grief. Like Lexi said, like, bring it in, we're going to address it. Like, this is the time that I'm going to do it. And sometimes having a ritual or having an activity that you can do during that time is really supportive to not feel like when you go to access your grief, when you go to think about your grief, when you go to feel your grief, that it feels so overwhelming. Thank you for in the Q&A. We got my person journal is a great idea. Yeah. Writing letters to your person, even letting them know about hopes and dreams and wishes, you know, for them to be your safe place, but also letting them know like, hey, here's what I did today. Here's what I'm so excited that I wish I could tell you about. And so this is the way that I'm going to share it with you. For sure. All right, y'all, we got some things in the chat or the Q&A from our last prompt about different ways that we can support our peers. So we heard about validating emotions and expressing that grief looks different for everyone. Absolutely. I'm just going to share with y'all transparently one of the hardest things that someone who's grieving can hear. And Lexi, tell me on maybe 3 hands how many times you heard this, but I know exactly how you feel. Hearing that, Lexi, thumbs up, thumbs down. Was it helpful?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, double thumbs down. That's where we know grief is unique. Even if you have experienced the same type of person, same type of relationship, none of us know exactly how each other feels. So just letting them know, like, I don't know exactly how you feel, but I'm here to learn. Like you said earlier, Lexi, like, I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here for you to share with me, like, thank you. But also knowing that if maybe in your friend group, people are grieving differently, that's okay. You know, maybe you and your best friend are grieving, but you're both grieving very differently. That's okay. It's okay that it looks different, and it's okay to honor that. And then we got in the chat, I think just the idea of people reaching out in text is so valuable. Yeah, just letting someone who is grieving know that you're thinking of them is huge. Absolutely. A lot of the times, y'all, when I talk to teens, Lexi, let me know if this resonates with you, that socially it can be hard. It can be hard to want to keep going and doing the same activities that you were doing. You need some time. And what I've heard teens say is like, keep inviting me. One day I'm going to say yes, but like, I still want to be included even for the days that I want to say no. So keep including me.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't want people to like pity me off of my grief. I want to be treated the exact same way as I normally would. Just because I'm grieving doesn't mean I've changed as a person. It just means that I have a new best friend in my head, and I have to let that new best friend in. And it's definitely hard to think about it like that, but it helps. But as non-grievers out there, it definitely is a great skill to have, and also something just to remember to don't change how you act for your griever friends. We notice it. We notice it when people change.
Yeah. So if you're supporting someone who's grieving, being as authentic as possible. And even if that authenticity, right, Lexi is like, I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do. And I'm sorry if I do or say the wrong things, but I really want to be here for you. Like being real about it. No one's expecting us to know the blueprint or some sort of book about what to say, what to do all the time, but just the effort.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm wondering, as we move on from ways to honor our grief and our person who died, is there anything y'all want to drop into the Q&A of things that you do to honor your person who died, to honor your grief? Is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you think has been really supportive for you and your experience? Feel free to drop it in.
A little tribute is lighting a candle on your person's death anniversary, birthday, or just a special little event you and your person shared.
Or even Lexi, right? Like maybe on their birthday, we buy a cake and we light candles and we blow it for them. You know, maybe we do the things that we would have done if they were here sharing it with us too.
Yeah. I know for my dad, me and his girlfriend, we go out to dinner and we celebrate him. Like a little cheers.
Going out to dinner and celebrating. Absolutely. I'm seeing some stuff in our Q&A, giving myself grace and time, just not being so hard on myself. Absolutely. For sure. Knowing that you're having a heavy or hard grief day, maybe even telling folks in your life, like, hey, today's going to be a really hard day. Like, I also need some grace, right? I need some time. Looking back at old photos or watching home videos. Yeah. Sound and sights can be a really big thing. So photos, videos, sound bites, voice memos, voicemails, you know, looking back at all of those to remember our person. Absolutely. Getting t-shirts with their picture on it. Yeah, so those tributaries, for sure. We can honor them in so many different ways, carrying their photo, creating items in honor of them. Absolutely. And that's another way that we can share them with the world, right? Is having those items too.
I love the voice memos and watching photos and videos. It always makes me feel more connected to my parents when I need to be, when I'm upset or even just happy. I just want to see them. Every hour on my lock screen, my parents are actually on a manual photo change, just so I know like a little hello. But also with the voice memos, be nice to yourself with the voice memos, because I know some of us may not get a chance to have voice memos. For my dad, I have, but for my mother, I don't. So I definitely have the emotion change between voice memos. So just be kind to yourself if you don't have voice memos, because it's okay.
Such a great reminder, Lexi. Thank you for that. Yeah, sometimes it can feel harder if we don't have some of those items, for sure. Absolutely. There's one more thing I was going to say, Lexi, and then it just floated out of my brain. That's okay. Maybe it'll come back. I'm going to read one more, y'all. My school's theater department recently lost one of the student members in the company. It was so hard, but just being together and sharing memories seems to connect us all right now. Yeah, sudden unexpected loss is so hard. Absolutely. All losses are super hard, especially if they're sudden and unexpected, when we don't necessarily get a chance to say goodbye. Definitely, and honoring that for sure is really important. And also, what were we talking about? Communicating to other people, like where we're at. But that also means that like we're tuning in to see where we're at in our grief so that we can communicate that too. So if we know that we're having a hard day, if we know that we need some more affection, we need some more support, we need some more space, whatever that is that supports you, being able to speak to that and share that with the people around us, whether it be teachers, coaches, classmates, friends, you know, your family at home, whoever that is that's in your support system too. Thank you all so much for sharing so much in our Q&A. We appreciate you being so interactive tonight.
And also being so ever vulnerable. It takes a lot of bravery to be very vulnerable like this.
We appreciate you. Feel free to continue to add things into the Q&A. We'd be privileged to read them out to y'all. We want to make sure that we have time for Q&A. So we've got one more question for you. Now that we've kind of talked about grief, defined ways to help our friends and help ourselves in our grief, if grief were an item, what would it be for you? Y'all heard me share, mine's a creature. Mine's a woolly, furry, red, one-eyed, fire-breathing creature. I don't know its name. Sometimes it's small, can fit in my pocket. Sometimes it is giant, taking up the room. It all just depends on the day. So that is my grief item. Lexi, what's yours?
Mine is a kaleidoscope. And I think it's a kaleidoscope because no matter which way I turn it, my grief will always be there, but it will always be in different shapes and forms, colors and sizes. Like, again, I feel like every color and every shape is a different emotion. Nostalgic, happy, angry, sad, anxiety, depression, just anything. But it always
so like a kaleidoscope, when you like shift it and move it and spin it, it takes so many different forms.
Yeah, but it's always with me.
It is always with you. Absolutely. Thank you, Lexi. What about the group? Let's see. A constellation. A constellation. The first thing I think of is a suitcase with memories and items. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's got those like stickers on the outside too. It's got some keepsake items. Mine would be a cool black, white, and gray lowrider with silver decor. All right.
Very creative.
An empty egg carton. What else? My curiosity's peaked on the egg carton. I wonder if it stays empty or if it ever gets filled. Something that I love that is very, very heavy. Yeah, something that might be hard to carry, right? Stuff stays empty. Egg carton. Got it. Thank you for sharing. A mirror. Grief is different day to day or even second to second. Yeah, just seeing my reflection in the mirror validates my feelings, keeps it real, recognizable, and helps me face it. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Y'all, thank you for being so visual. Grief is such a visual thing. So we appreciate you sharing like how you would name it, how you would give it a thing. And sometimes what helps us is to externalize it, give it a name, give it an object, give it something outside of us to help us to cope and kind of think about it. All right, y'all, feel free to continue to add things to the chat. I just want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know that our workshop is going to be coming to an end soon. So Lexi and I are here, and we would love to share more with you about experience camps, y'all. So please check out our website, experiencecamps.org. Like I said, we all up in IG and TikTok experience camps. On our social media, we've got testimonials from our courageous, vulnerable, incredible campers who share about their grief story and why programs like ours support them. We've got some serious TikTok challenges and trauma salads and all sorts of stuff. What do we get? We got Lululemon bags, and
I love that one.
that we've got some serious TikTok challenges that we made grief
Guess
related.
Who I, and they're really funny.
Say that again, Lexi.
We have the Guess Who I Lost just by looking at you.
Yeah, the Guess Who I Lost, also game show. But we really like to make sure that we are speaking y'all's language. So you'll notice that a lot of our content has humor. It's honest. It's kind of crass in some ways, but it's real because that's what grief is. So, if y'all are grieving, if you know somebody who's grieving, please make sure to check out our resources. You can drop me a line anytime. I'm at samira@experiencecamps.org. I'd love to get you connected with some resources, tell you about our programming, whatever it is that you need. Maybe you got a friend who's grieving. Maybe you want to bring some resources to your school. Anything at all, would love to share that with y'all. And then also check out our website, griefsucks.com. That is our by teens, for teens platform. We've got, what do we got in there, Lexi? We've got movie reviews, we got playlists, we've got
What Are We Loving?
Blog posts, what are we loving? We got
it's
grief
very
at
interactive.
school, a lot of information about how grief affects us at school and might be affecting our friends and how we can reach out for support.
A letter format to where if you're grieving, if you want to let your teachers know, we have a pre-made letter you can copy and paste and send it to them.
There we go. We love a downloadable that you can just fill out, send over to them and be like, this is what's up. This is what I need help with.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, we appreciate your time so much. We want to make sure that we got time for Q&As. So please feel free to drop any questions that you got into the chat. We are here for you. We'd be happy to answer anything that came up for you. And thank you all so much, again, for taking time, for taking space, for bringing your heart into this conversation. Grief is not an easy subject to talk about, but it's with all of you elevating how important it is to talk about that we can become a world that allows grief to come to the table, allows conversations, because as you can imagine in your own grief and also your friends' griefs, that to not be able to talk about it isn't a world that is supportive. So we appreciate y'all willing to learn about this and hopefully bring it to your communities as well. Thank y'all for willing to check us out and share with your schools for sure. Please do. Does anybody have any questions that we can answer? Anything at all that Lexi and I can do or share to be of support? Feel free to drop it in the Q&A. Does it truly ever get easier, or does the memory become more distant? Good question. What I can share with you is that grief has no timeline. What we know about grief is that we will be missing our person forever. And that's probably not the most supportive answer maybe to give, but why I offer it to you is to normalize it. It's okay that we continue to miss our person. We know that our grief is going to change with time as different things in our lives take up different space, but that we'll be missing our person, and that it's okay to honor and miss them and long for them and want to stay connected to them forever. And that's why there are programs like ours, and there are programs all over the country to support with grief, because we know that it's always going to be a part of us. And maybe some of the memories become more distant as, images and sounds might get a little fuzzy, but that's why we got photos and we've got videos. And sometimes we don't engage with those, right? Sometimes we might take a little vacation from our grief, and sometimes we revisit it. Do you have anything to share about that, Lexi, before I move on to the next question?
I think that grief doesn't get easier in general, but it gets easier to cope with and understand as your grief journey goes on and you live with it more and you learn your own unique skills to get help with it and just to internalize it. And it truly helps when you ask your grief what you need and what it needs from you. And I definitely believe that memories do get distant, but that's why it's so ever important to think of memories, relay memories, sometimes write down memories, if that is a true feeling that you have that memories become distant. But you'll always have them with you. They're never going to leave you, but they definitely would get.
Thank you, Lexi. Thanks for being so honest. And part of that can also be hard in our grief to feel like, am I forgetting parts of them, right? Are they getting more and more, are they getting further and further away from my memory? And thinking about what we need in those moments. Do we need ways to stay connected to them, or is that okay to sit with as well? We got a question in the chat. How do you become a camp counselor? What are the qualifications? Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. So we have camp counselors starting at the age of 19. You just got to be a healthy, caring, empathic adult who wants to come spend a week at camp with us. Our closest program to y'all is in LA. We are headed to camp outside of Lake Hughes this summer in August, but we've got programs all over the country. We are in California, Connecticut, Michigan, Maryland, Maine, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Those are our 7 programs. So you're welcome to check out our website, experiencecamps.org. There's a little heading on ways to volunteer. So if you or someone you know is 19 or over and wants to come volunteer, we will feed you chicken fingers and mac and cheese and waffles and some other delicious things, lots of s'mores. And you get to hang out with some awesome kids and teens that are grieving. And we talk about grief every single day, but not all day, every day. We also do all the fun summer camp activities. So we, at the swimming pool, we've got dance parties, we've got campfires, talent shows, movie nights. We got competitive games. We got all sorts of fun stuff to do. And then we sprinkle in some opportunities to share about our loved one and share about our grief too. But if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop me a line and send me an email. We got another question in the chat. How do you support a loved one through grief if you belong to a culture that promotes strength and stoicism over emotional healthiness and grief management? That is a powerful question. Thank you, friend. We support by giving permission, is what I would say. We give permission for whatever feels reachable, manageable, accessible, and safe for that person. So yes, we might live in a culture that really does promote us to be strong and to be able to move forward. And so if you have a loved one who needs an opportunity to soften and tap into their grief and express it, finding ways to help to support them with that, normalizing it, making it safe for them, sharing that whatever they share with you isn't going to go anywhere, that it's safe to be vulnerable, that it's safe to share their experience with you. Those are the ways that we can promote that. And then inch by inch, it's y'all and your voices that are going to change our world to make it so that we can share about this openly. And then why doesn't it feel real? Almost as if I haven't processed it, even if it happened months ago. Yeah, absolutely. Grief takes time, my friend. We encourage you to be patient and kind and graceful with yourself. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. There are healthy and unhealthy ways, and we hope for everyone to stay healthy in their ways where they're expressing themselves and have safe people and communities to talk about their grief and express themselves. But there is no right or wrong way. So if sometimes it feels like we're trying to survive and maybe we haven't been able to explore our grief, that's okay. And there's going to be a time where we get to explore it. And sometimes we're ready to access support, whether it be at school, out in the community with support groups, or a trained therapist or counselor, or at summer camps with us, online programming. There's so many different platforms for you to engage whenever you're ready. For us at camp, there's no timeline. So however long, if it's been months or years since your person died, you're welcome to come and participate with us and honor them and share about your grief. But what I would say is it's okay if it doesn't feel real, and it's okay if it takes some time, and that most of us in this group have been there where it feels like this can't be reality. So I hope, friend, that you can give yourself some grace and some permission to be where you need to be right now. All right, y'all, are there any other questions that we can answer? Thank you also for being so thoughtful with your questions. And like Lexi said, being so courageous and vulnerable to share them with us and to be so engaged with this conversation. Is it weird to grieve a celebrity or someone you don't know well? Absolutely not, my friend. We actually have an article on our website that we wrote about what it means to grieve celebrities, public figures, to be grieving communities that we see in our news, right? That are going through natural disasters or crises. That is totally normal. The truth is that the idea that someone in our world can die, that's grief for us, right? That's not something that we interact with every day. So maybe there was a celebrity that really brought you joy, or that you felt connected with, or that you listened to their music, or you went to their games, or that was a big part of your life. That's okay to grieve them. Grief, again, is natural and normal. So it doesn't have to be someone who was a family member of yours or a friend. It could be someone in your community. It could be a celebrity. It could be someone in the media. It could be someone from another country that you've never met before. It's always okay to grieve. So I hope that you give yourself permission to not call it weird, but to honor that that's, you know, a part of you that's compassionate, that's grieving for this person. And it's okay that we haven't met them before.
Yeah. It's also a celebrity or a public figure could also be a constant for you. I know that I grieve constants. I know that constants in my life, even though my parents did pass away, I think I look to public figures and I look to other people in my life and even objects as constants in my life. And if that constant goes away, it can be another form of grief, which is definitely valid. All emotions within any emotion is valid, and let yourself feel all the emotions, because if you don't, it's just going to weigh you down and sink, and you're never going to feel a little less weight off your shoulders if you don't let yourself grieve. But it's definitely not weird. It's a constant, and it's okay to grieve those constants in your life.
And we hope if you walk away with anything tonight, that other than our questions and, you know, the prompts that we have, that you walk away knowing that it's okay to grieve, whether it's you, whether it's somebody in your life, but whatever you're grieving. It could be the death of somebody that you love. It could be, again, any sort of loss or change or transition. And sometimes it's simple things that we grieve too, friends. Like maybe it doesn't compare, of course, to the death of someone, but like maybe your pizza was wrong. Like you really needed that and those toppings, and like that day. The grief comes in so many different forms and so many different ways. And so we just hope that you find ways to honor and give yourself permission to grieve in all the ways that you need to, in all the ways that it comes up. And if there's any way that we can support y'all in learning about grief and navigating it and anything at all that you need, we are here for you. We appreciate you all so much. I know that our time is coming to an end. We're going to stay logged on, but want to honor all of you. And again, thank you for sitting through this. Please, please, please do me a favor, y'all. Taking care of yourself is so, so, so important. So tonight, having sat through this conversation, please go do something really generous for yourself, whether that's calling your homie, your best friend, whether that's listening to some music. If you like to take a bath, you can get something delicious for dinner, because I know it's almost 6 o'clock our time, Pacific time. Sorry, Lexi. I know you're not on Pacific time with us. It's much later where you are. Lexi's so generous to stay up late to hang out with us. But please, please, please give yourself some permission and do something really kind and generous and thoughtful for yourself tonight, since you participated and joined us. We appreciate you so, so much. We hope that you took away something valuable tonight. Again, thank you for just being willing to sit and listen to this conversation. I really can't say it enough, and I know I've already said it so many times, so Lexi, you should just stop me at this point. But like, it is y'all that make a big difference in our communities and our world. So I feel so privileged to be able to share a little bit with y'all that I hope will have the ripple effect to make a really positive, loving, supportive impact. But again, thank you all. I am so blown away, Brianna, by Mound Out Loud. I met everybody, well, not everybody, but some friends over there at a conference, and what y'all do is extraordinary. And I inserted myself and was like, no, I gotta come do a workshop. I've got to meet these friends. They're incredible. So I just applaud all of you for the advocacy work, the awareness work, the ways that you're willing to show up in the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for using your voice to support your peers and to support our communities. Y'all are incredible. Thank you for joining. Please don't hesitate to reach out, y'all.